right, we're back. So last week we focused on making the head for our elf. I've seen a couple attempts. You guys are working on this. So today, I know you're probably like, oh, I want to do the face. We're not going to do the face. We are going to get him some arms and legs and a torso, or we're going to get as far as we can get. Now, I have to bring this to your attention. So the head that I'm going to work on is smaller than the head I worked on here, which means the body proportions will be different. So a couple things you want to think about. You know, this is meant to inspire you and make what you're going to make. Cannon walked in and goes, oh my gosh, it looks like an alien. He kind of does look like an alien right now. But things to remember, we're going to use a lot of wire and I trim it. So once we add the hands, his hands, this is a knee. The hands will come halfway down the thigh. That is a standard measurement in a human body. And believe it or not, if you take this measurement and this measurement, they're going to be very similar. I wanted this elf to have longer legs because he's an elf. And I'm going to use quite a bit of wire because I want him to be posable and possibly stand up when I'm done. So let's get started. And first we're going to wrap some wire, and you're probably going to be surprised at how much wire I use. So I have probably 3 40-inch pieces of 16 gauge wire. Okay. And we need, and I found center. You know, everybody does this different. Everybody does this different. So I am going to wrap, we got to make a shoulder. And whatever your shoulder measurement is, your hips are going to be about the same. Crazy measurements of the human body, right? Crazy, crazy measurement of the skeleton. Okay, so we want to end, it's just like kind of making a dog, only it's a human. So that looks like a human, doesn't it? Kind of. Okay, so I'm going to take another one. And I am going to come down the same way. I like my creatures, I'm probably not even in the camera because this is pretty unwieldy. So let's just add this one in. I know it seems kind of crazy, right? I don't want you to worry about the length of the arms right now. Here we are. Okay. So here's where you decide the proportions of the body. And you know, you're going to, depending on the size you made your head, you're going to have to decide how big the torso is going to be on your elf or your man or whatever you're making, your woman. I'm making an elf. Okay, so I'm going to twist right here. I'm going to twist, maybe. Oh, shoot. I'm going to twist. I want my torso about that big. And we're going to twist a little bit. I got to twist the guy. Yeah, Cannon's right. This doesn't fit in the camera very good, probably. All right. So there we have a little waist. And we twisted. But now we need a pelvis. Same as, if you just went straight down, your legs would not come out right. They just wouldn't. Elves have a bigger head than normal. We were having this conversation today at Meetup Monday, and they're like, well, haven't you ever watched Elf? His head is huge. Oh my gosh. So now I have 3 pieces of wire here, right? We're gonna have 4. And yes, this one is longer. I will trim it off. So like I said, I had 3 40-inch pieces of wire. But before I do that, I am going to twist them together. And you know, you get the best twist by applying the same amount of pressure on either wire. Gives you the most even twist. And is this how long the legs are going to be? Probably not. They're probably going to be way shorter. I just want to get it going. Cannon's back in my brownies. I made a huge pan of brownies last week. They've been going in and out of the fridge. They're not getting eaten very fast, though, huh? Everybody who comes over has a brownie.
They're on their last now.
Yeah, they are. Meet up. I fed them beet salad today. It was a delicious salad. Cannon's never had beets. So good. Spinach, garbanzo beans, beets, feta cheese. It was delicious. All right, we want to maintain our little, I'm going to give this one more twist so it's nice and tight right here. All right, and I dropped my wire. Okay. I tried to get Cannon to come tomorrow when I have to rinse my sheep for the sheep show this weekend. Ideally, I like it done more than a week in advance, but it got cold here and I didn't need anybody getting sick. So again, I'm going to wrap. You know, I could have wimped out and used 12 gauge wire, but what I had was 16. So I'm just showing you, you can do a lot of things. You don't have 12 gauge, use 16s, use a bunch of them. And I just feel it gives it a way stronger skeleton this way. You still need to wrap. You can wrap some more. Where's my hip bone? The hip bone's connected to the thigh bone, right? Isn't that how the song goes? I don't know. It's pretty exciting. My dahlias have started to bloom. You know, their first blooms are always pretty wimpy and disappointing. My friend Carolyn got a brand new dahlia breed to her this year, and she was so excited about it, and then it had its first bloom, and she goes, I am not impressed. And I said, give it a chance. And it had its second bloom. She was like, all right, you're right. So sometimes the first blooms of the zinnias and the dahlias are not spectacular. See, this hip side's too big. Try and make them even. So far, he's looking like it's going to be even. Now, let's look at these arms for a second. We're going to add more wire to them in a minute. So, remember what I said. So his hands, once they're on, are going to come to about right here. That puts his knee about right there. Knee. And remember, because you're going to build up. This could change. So let's start up here. I'm going to add one more piece of wire on the arms. Just to have a little bit extra strength. Always find center and be close to center. So here you can do like a hangman, just go around the neck. Come to the arm. You know, I'm sure that there are people out there that are way more technical at this than I am. But you guys asked, Karen, let's build a doll. And I needed to build some elves, so that's where we're at. And I'm showing you how I do it. It's definitely not scientific. Look at pictures of the human skeleton. That's gonna kind of get you to where you're at. I think one of the comments in the group today, they were talking about the face. You just got to look at pictures. Pictures are going to do a million things. Look at silhouettes. Okay, so we know, most likely, we don't know yet. We won't know until we get the core wool on this guy. So let's get some core wool on him. We're not going to be using any skin tone today. So you don't really need to make the underbody skin tone unless like legs are going to show or arms are going to show. you have to decide, you know, which parts are going to show. So we're going to make a big pillow. Big pillow. And here's where you decide if it's going to be a skinny person, it's going to be a chunky person. You got to decide what your person's going to be. So I put the pillow in the middle of the chest cavity, and I am going to wrap. And you want to wrap fairly tight. Let's go over a shoulder and down. I love how their heads move around. Sometimes you look down and go, oh my gosh, what is happening right now? So we're getting ready for black sheep. I think I said that. Taking 5 sheep. John was praying for none. Except most of these are going to go to new homes. So it's a good reason to go to black sheep. Okay, now let's see what's happening on this side. So let's talk about this torso. So your head, the back of your head is even with the shoulders, even with the butt. Okay, gonna have a dip in there. We're not this fat. We're skinny. Skinny. Think about your Barbie dolls. Think about the dolls you played with as a kid. So we don't have too much more to build, but we need to build up these shoulders just a little bit. So I'm gonna do a little figure 8 wrap. I'm pulling it tight because the more you wrap it, the harder you wrap it, the less you have to felt it. This is 36 needle, it'll go faster. Just be mindful of your wire. You can see it already coming to life. I always feel like I'm building Frankenstein. You know, people are not my forte. So that is one thing you need to know. People are not my forte. Try to get my friend Janice to come do people with us. She may still. Maybe when we get close to doing the face. I don't like to put the faces on till I know what the body looks like. Because it gives you personality. Remember, just the tighter you wrap it, the tighter you made that inside pillow, the less poking you have to do. Our well is still not fixed. Isn't that fantastic? We do not know what's going on with it. We have a couple theories. Okay, so before we put in a waist, let's put in some hips. Okay, I want you to wrap around the spinal column. Oh, sorry if you hear John's phone ringing. It's his work phone. We're going to wrap around the spinal column again. We're going to go back. Just doing a couple figure 8 wraps. Trying to get this covered. Nice and tight. More corbel. Right now it's looking like Gumby and Pokey. Remember Gumby and Pokey? Did you know who that was, Cannon?
Yeah, I remember him.
Yeah, that's what he looks like right now. No pun intended. No Pokey pun intended. So you see how tight I'm pulling this? If you don't pull it tight, you'll be sad because you'll be poking forever. Or frustrated. Sad or frustrated. And remember, it is going to look like so many weird things before it's done. Doesn't he look silly? I'm going to put both arms up above his head. Get them out of the way. So we know we have a knee there. All right, so now I am going to wrap down. I'm going to secure it. I'm going to stab a little bit more in here. Remember, I'm putting this together the way I would normally put it together for me. So it's a hard thing to teach. I'm just going to where I assume the knee is going to be. And then I'm going to go back up. Let's get this secured. Notice I'm not using a lot of wool at a time. I don't want the legs to end up super misshapen. So I'm going to come around this hip again. Twice. Now I didn't do that tight enough. So I'm going to pull it tight. Secure it. Take that out of there because it keeps getting caught. Okay, we don't want to lose our hip joint, so let's keep going. Let's go down. Takes a reasonable amount of core wool to build one of these. So now I'm not going anywhere near that hip joint. I'm just going to start wrapping right here. So I have a bigger piece. Just remember, keep it nice and flat. So now we want this to get wider up here. Let's do the other side once I get this felted in. I'm going to wrap this around a little bit more down here. Get it out of my way. Now I'm flipping it over and I'm going to work from this side, go over the hip joint and around. Then we're going to come around. Going to where we think the knee is. Coming back up. I wanted you guys to start on a bigger head because bigger is easier, believe it or not. When you start getting small and getting into details in the small, it's a lot harder than bigger. This was experimental food weekend, Cannon. I made Asian tacos.
What was that like?
They were interesting.
How are they Asian?
Pork. I used ground pork and ginger and garlic and white wine vinegar in the pork. So I seasoned the pork and then I smooshed it onto street tacos. So I took like a pound and I squished it onto like 8 different street tacos. Super, super thin. And then we fried them. And after they were not really fried, but they were fried because there's grease in the pork. But cooked it until, it was done on both sides, and the tortilla poofed up and got crispy. Wow. And then dropped it into a taco form. And then put like shredded cabbage and green onions, and John didn't really like it. Michelle and I loved it. Look at this guy's doing a dance now. So as you work on this, things are going to move around. I liked them. Michelle liked them. John didn't like them. He's like, Too bad for him because we liked them, so I'll make them again. We'll change up a few things, maybe next time. The recipe I was looking at called for 2 tablespoons of ginger, and I only put in a teaspoon, and trust me, it was enough. So you can see that his body shape is naturally forming here. And so this guy might be too long in the torso. Let's look at this. He can be super long. Unless we make his hips come up higher. So let's make this higher. You'll see what'll happen here. There's still not a ton of fiber on here, so I keep it in the wire. So let's do a little test pose. So we know that is probably going to work. You can see that this torso is probably the right size. Probably, I say that, probably. So let's stab on this for a little bit as we're getting it into the right shape. So Cannon, since I am not available next week, maybe I might be available. I might be able to do Monday. It's going to depend on how Monday goes. We have to play it by ear. But we should plan a live felt maybe for the face, for finishing the face or the hands, or no?
No, I think we just got to keep this one video series.
Okay. I'm trying, you guys.
But we'll do it live soon.
We could do it live in the middle even. So I'm putting more around the waist area, and I'm pulling it tight because I don't want to felt a lot. I mean, I love felting, but remember, let's work smarter, not harder on a big project. So we know that this is going to be the way the waist goes. And back side. Do you have, sometimes John will just flip channels at night if we're getting ready to go to bed. And last night it went on to Steve Harvey. What is the show where the two teams have to compete?
Family Feud?
Yes. Yeah. Survey says. So the question it was the funniest thing I've ever heard. The question was, is it the final, the end where they play off for all the money? They were asking 100 people surveyed, and where is the most likely spot for a teen to get a tattoo so the parents wouldn't know? So that's your bottom, right? That's the most likely answer. So the first one says, like, your arm, whatever. The second guy says prison. It was so funny. We're like, don't you think the parents would know the kid was in prison?
Yeah, that's Steve Harvey's reaction to that.
Oh my gosh, he couldn't stop laughing. Yeah. He could not stop laughing.
That's hilarious.
It was so funny. We're like, prison? What? That was so funny. I was like, oh my gosh. Yeah, I think they would know the kid was in prison. But I think he heard the question. I mean, seriously, he must have heard the question wrong. Because it was fun. It was so funny. The most unlikely spot for your kid to get a tattoo and your parents wouldn't know. Prison. Pretty funny, right?
Yeah, that show is funny.
Yes.
That show and Murray.
Murray?
You ever seen Murray?
No, what is that?
The one where he's like, the kid is not your father. They do the paternity tests.
No.
Oh, it's so funny.
What do you mean he's not your father?
Like they bring like a wife and like an ex-boyfriend.
And they do paternity tests?
On live TV. Yeah, it's pretty hilarious.
Well, that happened in my own family, but we won't talk about that. It was pretty crazy too. Glad it wasn't on live TV. It wasn't my well, it was my brother. That's a whole story in itself, and it's not suitable for YouTube video. This guy's looking pretty crazy, right? He's getting there. So we want to make sure that he has a little chest. Right now he's just like straight up and down, right? Straight up and down. So let's stab this a bit. And we'll get this all looking like one piece. Because right now it just looks like a bunch of mummy wraps. We're making a mummy. Because he doesn't really have a lung capacity yet. I mean, unless you wanted your guy. He's got a waist. We know we have a waist. I don't tend to make my sculptures anatomically correct when it comes to gender either. They're like gender neutral. However, want to hear something funny? I got my papers back for my sheep. And I'm taking one guy that's for sale, right? Unfortunately, I identified him as a U. So his paper looks like a U paper, but he's really a boy. So I'll have to get that fixed. But anyways, it's kind of funny. I'm like, I'm taking him. He identifies as a U. That's totally politically correct, right?
You misgendered him.
I did misgender him. I apologize to him. And his mom is so mad that he is not with her. Oh my gosh, she is putting up a fuss. I think everybody that lives within a mile knows that we're weaning a few lambs right now. So doesn't the dirt look nice out there?
Yeah.
That's something you don't hear very many people ask about. So the front yard, you guys get an update, is coming along. So last Tuesday I was working along outside, and John and I have been talking about how much we measured how much soil we need, and all of a sudden he calls me and it's arriving on Tuesday. I'm like, bah. So we had this very cool truck bring it in. They conveyored it in, so they put it almost exactly where it went. So very little physical involvement on our part. It was kind of neat. I was like, this is cool. 11 yards of dirt. That's a lot of dirt. I was just envisioning having to sit and shovel it, and we didn't. So that was good. Did have to level it. I raked a little bit. Obviously, my job wasn't good enough since John was fixing it later. He's very persnickety about how the soil looks for the lawn. Cannon can attest to that. He wants it perfect. But we used to have big exposed oak roots, and they are under the dirt, probably happy, 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 happy. For the first time in a long time. You can see I just added a little piece. His waist is a little narrow at this point, but that we'll fix that. We'll fix that. You can see I got all this loose stuff here. So it's gonna take me a minute to get this all felted in. I don't know how much of the video Cannon is cutting out when he edits.
Barely any.
Really? Yeah. So you're getting real time here, guys. Real time of me felting a dude. Or dudette, or whatever. Elf. It's an elf. So you don't want your shoulders to come up too high. We're going to add some arm here. Let's add some arm. We're going to go out to the elbow, pretty much. So kind of look. We know that the hands are going to come down to there, pretty much. So equidistant. That's look like an elbow. Now let's make it on this side. I hope you can see what I just did. And don't worry if this seems too short, because we're gonna add some stuff. Oh, I like this guy. He's a happy elf. So remember, you have a collarbone right here. Think about your collarbone. So let's take and add right here. We're gonna just poke this in. Everybody I know builds their people different. I'm just gonna go to the elbow and come back up. Because what we're trying to do now is get a shoulder built in here. So right now I'm working through this chest. We gotta compact this. I'm trying to be cognizant that we have a shoulder. You have your shoulder blade, not your shoulder blade, your collarbone, and on the back we're gonna have a shoulder blade. So kind of think about the way that shape comes to a little V right here. You know, big shout out to Bear Creek Felting, who was in a tornado last night in North Dakota. So glad she is safe. Her animals are safe. And it's very sad. They lost a shop and they lost a garage, but they're all safe. So shout out to Bear Creek Felting. Whew, scary stuff. Kind of like our forest fires, right? There were 3 fires on Table Rock Road today. I don't know if you saw that.
Really?
Yeah.
I was driving down it, and there was a fire truck going up it. I was by Costco.
Yeah, it's up. It was up further towards Highway 230, towards me. Kind of crazy.
I wonder if someone was dragging something that was sparking.
Like a chain.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here in Oregon, we have to be very, very careful in the summer because we are very flammable, and just the tiniest thing can set off a forest fire. They can grow magnificently in size very quickly. We had one last week that went from 40 to 500 acres in 2 hours.
The Applegate fire?
Yeah.
Crazy.
I wonder what started that. We haven't had any lightning yet this year, which dry lightning in the summer causes fires. So I'm on the other arm. I'm just going to the elbow and go back up. So if you're gonna dress your elf, which I assume you are, you got to remember you don't want the arms too thick, too beefy when you put the clothes on, because then they look too thick and beefy. See, you want to felt just a hair smaller to a lot for the clothing that you're gonna felt on. And I do felt most of my clothing on with color. Sometimes I will add pieces that make it look like it was sewn. But we'll get to that. So we know he has a spine. He's not spineless. Not spineless. So kind of learn where your spine's going to be. He's going to have a butt. So I'm going to build up this little area right here on this shoulder, or this back, because I don't want it sunken in. And so you want to look at this neck. You want that head right in the center. So let's actually take this piece over and around. We needed to build that up a little bit. I'm actually going to go this way to fill this in. Remember, it's always about pushing the wool around and how to get the wool where you need it built up without overdoing it. This guy had a skinny neck, so it's not going to hurt him to have a little extra on his neck. But you don't want to lose the neck. After working the sheep on Saturday, I was sore right here. I was pretty sore. We worked 57 sheep on Saturday. We identified who's staying, who's going, all that, all the fun stuff. Got them some wormer. It's that time of year when my irrigation is running that everybody needs a wormer dose. Because unfortunately we have lungworms that live in the pasture. Nasty little buggers. And then I use this little pour-on topical stuff because my sheep had some ticks. Ew. Ew, I hate ticks. If anybody can tell me a beneficial reason for ticks, I will change my mind, but I have not yet found one. I do not know what their purpose in this world is, other than to spread disease. See, we're starting to get enough fiber in here to where we can have an armpit. So let's put this arm down for a minute. We're going to stab this way. We're pushing this wool back towards the lung area. This is a matter of just poking, 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 poking. Poking, poking, poking. Well, we need a little more in the armpit area here. No helping out. I don't often use a 36, but sometimes when you're trying to do big, thick felting like this, a 36 is the key. You know, they put the wool where you want it fast. But they don't work for very long because you got to switch to a thinner needle get all of the work done once these won't go in anymore. Okay, we identified this is where the lungs are going to end, or their ribs. And we have a sternum here. Think about CPR. Now, he needs a little butt. He needs a little butt. I'm just going to lay some fiber over this, and I'm going to poke it on. Everybody has fun making this part of the human. I don't know why. You don't even need to do all of the detail. You can just put this piece on. Let's meld it into this back. You don't want to felt that together. So now let's talk about this area. We need some hips. So the legs actually come all the way up to here. We are going to build this up. So we know it. We go here, almost to the bottom of the where the rib cage is. So this is a hip that we're putting in. We just need some fiber right here. Just like any animal form, the human form has its nuances. This is like the haunch on an animal. So you want this area smooth, straight down. You can see we've built in. You should be able to start seeing it come together here a little bit. Remember, this guy is a little bit smaller than the first guy. So he looks a little bit smaller. Just like on the first side, we're gonna fill this in. Build this up to here. Should we do hands and feet next? We might have to do hands one day, feet the next day. You know what I mean? Hands and feet are hard.
Unless you show them one of, one hand.
Oh, I could do one of each.
That would be good for one video. Pretty much, they just need to mirror the other.
Yeah, hands and feet are hard. So see how I just folded that back just to build this up on this side. He needed more fiber on this side. This elf did. We're almost ready to decide how long those legs are actually going to be. So Ken, are you going to take a picture of my naked elf?
I've been thinking about how I'm going to take a picture for the thumbnail.
Well, we can sit him up.
Yeah, I think that's what we're going to have to do.
We can sit him up. It's fiber porn. It's
No,
kidding. I'm kidding. So let's sit him up, see what happens here. Look at that. All right, I'm going to poke on him sitting up for a minute. Remember, all this is going to be covered up with clothing, hopefully. We just have to get the right form. Got a little mess going on right here. Let's get this all tucked in. I have extra fiber there we don't need. Let's tuck that in. So you know that you sit like that, you have this curve right here. See, I didn't wrap that very tight, so what's happening is I have all this loose fiber that I have to poke in. You know, pumpkin season's coming. We're going to have to bake pumpkins again. Of some kind.
It's a good season.
I like pumpkin season.
Halloween. Fall.
We haven't even gotten into summer yet. And you and I are sitting here thinking about, I'm actually thinking about Christmas is what I'm thinking about. I'm going to start making Christmas stuff. So, Christmas in July. Didn't we do that last time?
I think so.
Christmas in July is good.
Say we make some more of those moon ornaments.
Again?
Those are hot commodities.
Well, they are. It's one of my best sellers. Okay. Look, he's starting to look like Elf. Got a ways to go. Pretty amazing, though, how you can make a human form out of wool, isn't it? Pretty amazing how you can make anything out of wool. So right now I'm just going through, looking at what needs poked a little more, see if I need to add any spots before I start the rest of the arms and the legs. I have a little gap right here in the shoulder. And see, that needs poked. I will probably make Cannon take a picture of the other guy because he's very smooth. Because I've worked on him for a very long time. Just sitting like this, poking, 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 poking. Don't need no lumpy elves. So this leg, we know, goes like that. This leg goes like this. I often have to talk myself through all of this stuff. Think about when you're sitting in the chair, how your body parts are. So let's stretch it back out again. You definitely see it's happening. So this, uh-oh, I just broke a needle. I'll switch to a different one. Can you guys believe I broke a needle? Oh my gosh. Broke a needle, broke a needle. My own fault, leaned on it on the felting pad. So I think I need to felt a little bit tighter right here. It's a wool Band-Aid. Come on, wire, stop getting tangled up in my core. I'm gonna pull this tighter right there. So now I've switched to a 38 star spiral. It will go fast as well. Not as fast as the 36 was though. That's okay. I need to felt his little butt smooth. Not too shabby. So you want to make sure your legs are the same width. We're pretty good. Like I said, I end up felting on these for a while just to get this all nice and firm. But what I want to see right now, let's see where these arms go to. Okay, so we know that the hands need to come to here. Okay, so we have an elbow. We know that the hand is going to need to be as big as the face. That's a very weird thing, but your hand is as big as your face. Okay, so I am going to take and twist this all the way down. See where it puts me. And we probably, it'll end up being about right here. So I want to make a loop. Just make a loop right there. That's where we will attach the hand. Okay, so let's make sure that this one is the same. Remember I said it didn't matter if we didn't have enough wire. We can always add. So I'm just gonna make another little loop. That's just our attachment point. And so now let's look at the legs. I like to sit them down and look where my legs are gonna go. So we have a knee. And I'm all tangled up here, so bear with me. Tangled up. Okay, so we have a knee right here. We have a knee right here. And there is probably some scientific measurement or dimension, but I like to eyeball it. And so mine is going to be about there. So that's, let me stand him up. See if I like that. So what always happens to me, and this is important, first of all, this is lumpy. Your wool pads are always going to be lumpy. We need to make sure that these, where the feet go, are going to be the same height. Hopefully this guy's gonna stand up. Oh, Kenan just asked me, am I done with my wire cutters? And I'm like, sure. We're gonna cut off some of this stuff down here. We can always cut more later. It's gonna make it so much easier to work. You asked me if I was done with them and I wasn't. That's my fault. All right, so I want to stretch this back out and we're gonna twist it some more. Which two are twisted first? Let's twist this one on. And I'm trying to make it even. Right now it looks longer than the other one. Hold on, I gotta move the pad out of the way, if that's okay. So let's twist this guy all together and get him. So this one was first. You know, you guys might be better at this than me and be able to twist all the way down to the feet and decide your dimensions. Again, I'm going to make sure they're pretty level because we're going to felt. So we got a knee, we got a knee. Do I like where the knees are? Try and make them even. Knee, knee. Okay, there's our knees. Okay, let's add to his legs. Now, don't make these too big. I mean, it looks silly when people have really, when the lower leg, even if you're gonna do them standing, there's things we can do to make them stand up. You don't want them to have stumpy legs. I mean, we're just gonna wrap down to the heel area. We're just gonna go down and back up. Don't start that foot yet. Because you never know, I might have something in store for you to make your creature, your humanoid creature, stand up. So we have a little calf muscle we're going to build. Little, emphasis on little. We want this. Y'all know where you get those cramps at night, right? Cannon probably has never experienced that because he's too young. Have you ever had leg cramps?
Oh, leg cramps, yeah.
In your calf?
Yeah.
When you're sleeping?
That's terrible.
Have you had that?
Yeah.
You're too young to have that.
I'm tall.
Yeah, that's true. You are very tall. I always forget how tall Cannon is until he walks through my front door and he clears all my spider webs out.
Yeah.
Every single time.
I'm 6'6".
Yeah, he's tall. Like you're 1 foot 3 inches taller than me. That's a lot. Ooh. That's very much. Tall. Do you have other problems from being tall? Do you hate?
No,
do you hate being tall sometimes?
No, I don't. It's just hard to find clothes.
Well, it's probably hard to find a bed too.
No, I actually fit on a queen. Like
you have to sleep diagonal.
Top of my head to the bottom of my feet, just like perfectly.
No way.
Just like
Yeah, John drives me crazy because he sleeps diagonal. I'm like, hey, and then Rip gets in, and it's all over. I just have one little slice on the edge. I'm like, all right, and they have all the blankets. Yeah, it's a thing. So I try to start out the night with all the blankets. So you see where I made the knees skinnier? Just because that's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen. This dude's going to have skinny knees. But we can see what's happening here. Okay, knee, knee. Now we have a little bit to go down here. This one we can just start right up here and wrap down. I'm actually going to move the pad out of the way. I hope that's okay. Because I'm not really felting on the pad at the moment. I'm felting on the guy. If you guys think we're going to felt real feet, you're nuts. I'm not making a barefooted elf. Let me just put that out there right now. Feet are very similar to hands, just smaller digits. All right, let's get this the same as this, and we'll come back and do that in a second. Secure that piece we put in there. Let's get this felted on there. This guy's got a loose piece of fiber over here. I need just a little bit more on this side. Now I am going to go around one more time. I'm going to go back up, but look, I did not go over that knee because we need this to level out and gradually go to the knee. Okay, let's see what we got. We got some knees, got some knee bones. Got 2 little calf bones and sit up. It's looking like he's getting there. So the other thing, see how his arms, we know we're right. If we sat him up and the end of his arms before his hands start, like this is your wrist, comes to the comes to the floor. I don't know if you ever noticed that, but that isn't. You know you're right if this comes to here or close. You're close, unless you're using some weird abnormal proportions that I don't know about. But and we're gonna go down to our loopy on the arms. So let's secure it again here. We should take a poll. I want to know if it bothers you guys that I don't have like all this pretty stuff out here while I'm felting. Like it's like when you see the videos of the women in the gardens wearing the flowing dresses. Trust me, that's not how you look when you're working in the garden. It's like, seriously? That is so not real. And anybody who can do that and stay clean, kudos. Kudos. It's not me. My friend Carolyn and I were working out here, and if you would have saw, she turns around, she's like, "You're bleeding." I'm like, "I am?" She goes, your nose is bleeding." I'm like, "No, it's not." Because of my accident, I have no feeling in the top of my head. And I had gotten into a blackberry bush and had a big old scratch and didn't even know it because I can't feel it. It was kind of funny. But if you would have saw how dirty we were, you would have been like, "Oh my gosh." Or after I weed eat, I'm like the green monster. Green muddy monster, depending on where I've been weed eating. And yes, I have overalls that I wear specifically for weed eating, so that I can just take them off and still be halfway clean. But man, you get so dirty gardening. And felting, when you're felting, it takes up so much room. You should see us on Meetup Mondays. The table is covered in fiber. It's covered. It's not a neat, clean art. I don't know, these artsy videos. So we're sorry that my videos aren't artsy fartsy. They are the nitty gritty. This is what really happens. Okay, we have one more little forearm to go here. Being mindful of where our elbow is, let's attach this fiber. Remember, wrap nice and tight, wrap nice and flat. Don't want big, thick forearms. Unless, of course, you're making like a muscle guy. Just make them nice and even. They get, but again, don't wrap that elbow too much. And if you need to go back up, skip it and just like figure eight it. Like I just did. Because remember, we're going to dress them. And once we dress them, it'll be bigger. Okay, we have forearms. This guy needs a little bit more muscles in his upper arm. And it's going to look weird because he doesn't have hands. And that makes him look like his arms are short. They really are not, I promise. We need to add a little bit more to his upper arm over here. So like I said, this is going to be intuitive. And this is how I build it. It's, again, by no means a scientific body build. I learned by looking at pictures, doing it wrong multiple times, and going back and going, oh my gosh, what have I done? And then cutting them apart and redoing them. We've all done it. All right, let's see what we got. It's pretty good. It's looking pretty good. He's like, hey, got this. You can wave, hey. So all that's left to do is to sit and smooth this all out. So probably next time when we come back, we're gonna do, we actually might do the face. I have to decide about this. Because sometimes we would want to dress them before we put the hands on, but we'll see. Because if you're working with clothes, you need to be able to get the arms through, depending on what we do. I haven't decided yet. This is a work in progress. You're actually felting with me because I needed some elves. Okay. What do you think, Cannon?
It's coming together.
It's the little brother.
It's a little creature.
He's a little brother. He's like, they're like little Frankensteins. I always feel like I'm making Frankensteins. So if you guys need supplies, holler at me. Liongate.org or LiongateFarm.com. They both go to the same place. Make sure you like the videos. Like us. And follow us so you know when we have new ones. It really does help us out a lot. You know, it helps the farm when you shop at my website. It helps Cannon when you go to the video. Yeah.
Like the video.
Like the video, yes. And then what else is going on, Cannon? What else do we need to tell them to do while I sit here and poke?
Just like the video. It really helps the videos and the channel. You don't even need to subscribe, just like it.
Really? They don't need to subscribe?
They can subscribe if they want.
They can subscribe. They can subscribe to my website and see when new products come out. Yeah, and we'll come back and we'll work on him some more. I know it's a slow project, but just bear with me. It'll be a fun one when we're done. I promise.